in 1,000 and I'm on my way. 1 in 1,000 and I'm leaving today. Good morning, everyone. How are you? My name is Steve Swinburne. I'm an author, a children's book author from a place called Vermont in the United States of America. Has anybody ever been to America? Great. Has anybody ever been to New York City? Great. Has anybody gotten into a car and driven 5 hours up to New England in Vermont?
My dad did.
Has anybody ever been in South Londonderry? Has anybody ever been in my house? What were you doing in my house? I'm so happy to be here. I've been here, my wife and I flew here about 3-4 days ago, and this is my second day at UAS talking to kids. Yesterday I spoke through kindergarten through 5th grade. I travel all over the world visiting children in school talking about me. Because it's all about me. Is it about me or is it about these things?
Myself and I.
It's really about these things. It's about these things called books, writing, research. I'm a big, big nature guy. I try to get away from the paparazzi. They follow me everywhere. So yeah, I love traveling around. Last year I was in Bangladesh. 2 years ago I was in Singapore and Borneo. So, and in about 3 days, no, tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I fly to Kuala Lumpur. Has anybody ever been there? It's my first time going there. I'll be there for about 3 weeks visiting schools. Nice? Yeah, great. Looking forward to it. This is where my day begins as an author. When I'm back in Vermont, I will turn on my computer. My laptop is really messy. It's crowded. And I've got to figure out what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be starting my day. There it all is. Got all my manuscripts here. Some of my writing workshops. You guys know that you can do lots of things in life for jobs, right? What could you be? Let's have a little brainstorming. What could you be when you grow up in life? What could you be? What could you be? You could be a what?
Cop.
A cop. You could be a teacher. You could be a politician. Artist. Doctor. Actress. Lawyer, great. You can be all of these things, okay? What I am is a guy that travels around going to places like oceans, mountains, valleys, swamps, and learning about those habitats, in particular the animals that live there, like manatees, wolves, bears, coyotes, owls, coming back with this wild adventure in my heart and in my head, going to my MacBook Pro, thank you Steve Jobs, sitting down and doing what? Typing. Taking my adventure from the outside, putting it through me and into the laptop, and hopefully soon a book will come out. I'm the author of these books. I'm not an illustrator. I take pictures. Matter of fact, I took that picture, not that one. I can't illustrate. I wish I could do artwork. I can't do it. Anybody who's good at art?
My brother.
Good. Yeah. I wish I had that talent, guys. I don't. I don't know. I couldn't even barely do a straight line. But I love taking pictures. There's all my stuff, and we're going to talk about an animal today that I really find so super duper special. I'm so excited, by the way, that you have you've got an animal, you got like a sea turtle back there? It's crazy. How did this sea turtle get here? Is there a story behind that?
It was found on the beach, dead.
Found nearby?
We have sea turtles around.
Yeah, I think you've got hawksbill and green, right? Mostly? Yeah, it's really cool. Let's get started. I thought I'd start us off this morning with a little picture. My wife and I went on a wildlife safari a couple of days ago, a desert safari. There we were in the desert having fun. I got to ride a camel. How many people have ridden a camel? Is it like hard? Was I just like, did you get like...
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing that all day long? Would that be crazy? Wow. How about falconry? Anybody ever do any falconry? Yeah, that is amazing. We flew an owl, a desert eagle owl. We flew a little hawk, a little falcon. It was so much fun. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go all the way from your part of the world in Dubai, all the way around the other side of the planet to my part of the world, back to Vermont. This is where I live. I live in a tiny little town called South Londonderry, right on a river. That river starts about 15 miles north of my house in the mountains. little creek, a tiny little trinket of water coming down, getting bigger, 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 turns from a creek into a stream, into a river, and that river will flow into a much bigger river, and finally, after many, many miles, we'll reach the ocean. So we all connected. Everybody say, good morning, Scout.
Good morning, Scout.
Good morning, Jem.
Good morning, Jem.
Can anybody tell me what two famous characters are called Scout and Jem from what book? Written by an author named Harper Lee. Anybody know that book? To Kill a Mockingbird. Yes. My wife and daughter loved that book so much they named our doggies Scout and Jem. Great book. You guys need to read it at some point in your life. So there are the doggies. There are the puppy pictures. And this is where I live. And this is what, does it look like Dubai?
No.
Yeah. Pretty different, right? It's got mountains and valleys and woods and streams and all. And when I look at this thing, I think of habitat. In those mountains, you've got bear, you've got coyote. Along the fields here, you've got maybe butterflies. In the streams, you might have fish and frogs. So a lot of habitat, a lot of animals live there. And there's my house. It's an 1860 farmhouse built by a farmer around 1860. Who could tell me what was happening in the United States of America around 1860, something that was tearing apart the fabric of that nation? Anybody know? Around 1860, do not tell me World War I or World War II.
I guess Civil War.
Civil War, yeah. Who can tell me what the Civil War was all about? What was the Civil War all about?
It was the North against the South.
Yeah.
And it was...
Over the issue of?
over the issue of slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah, the South wanted slavery, the North did not, so they kept on fighting about it. And
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was there as well, and then the North won, so there was no discussion.
How about a big round of applause for that? That's well said. I mean, that's exactly right. This awful issue of slaves, that's not, you can't have people owning people. That's uncalled for. So slavery was abolished. Some farmer showed up at this mountain river valley and said, yep, I think I'm going to build me a house right here. He built the house. My wife and I bought it in 1984. There's the attic, bedrooms, living room, kitchen. Every job requires tools. If I'm a football player, I need a... If I'm a submarine driver, I need a... If I'm an author, I also need tools. What kind of tools, guys? Pencil, computer, desk, paper. I also need a quiet place to sit and think and create and imagine, okay? Here's where I do all my writing. All my books, my 30 books, I wrote up in that office. And I put my desk right here, not over near the window. Why? Why would I not put my desk right up against the window? Yes? I would look out the... I'd be spending my day looking out the window, looking at the birds and the sun and the flowers and the trees and all that stuff. I don't want to do that. I want to put my desk right there, so I'll be focused my attention on my computer. There's my house in the summer, winter. Summer, winter. That's what's happening in Vermont right now. We live around 1,000 feet elevation, and people come up to Vermont to go skiing. Everybody say, hi Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hi Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Hi Devin.
Hi, Devin.
Hi Haley.
Hi, Haley.
My wife and 2 daughters, and we are at a great place out in Oregon called Crater Lake State Park, National Park, and it's the site of an extinct volcano. You guys know what a volcano looks like, right? Goes up. Imagine this volcano exploded thousands of years ago. That's the perimeter of the volcano. Look how big this thing was. Filled with beautiful blue water, and then a baby volcano started growing. Really awesome place if you ever get out west to see it. Devin, 25. My youngest daughter, she graduated from college with a degree in international development, and she's kind of figuring out what she wants to do in life, which is great. Haley graduated, is 27. She graduated with a degree in classical ballet. Now she's teaching young kids in Brooklyn, New York, how to dance ballet. Let me introduce you to these things called boyfriends. Everybody go like this. Ooh. That's what I said too. There's Devin and ooh, Raleigh. There's Haley and ooh, Willie. These things are like ooh. Anyway, Devin and Riley have been dating about 3 years. Haley and Willie have been dating 10 years. This guy finally came up to my daughter and said, Haley, will you marry me? And guess what happened? They got married. So we had a wedding last year. That's Haley's on her happy wedding day. Happy mom, happy dad. August 8th. That was a lot of fun at our house. Can anybody see anything in that picture? An owl. Good job. Good eyes. Guys, when I wake up in the morning, I go for a walk. The owl's right there. I go for a walk. I do a couple of things. I brush my teeth, have my cup of coffee, I stretch, and then I go for a walk 1 mile down the river. Sometimes I bring my doggies, sometimes I don't, but I always bring 2 things. My eyeballs and my ears. You ever go for a walk without your eyeballs in your ears? Not a good idea, okay? Because you kind of like bang into things. I do it because I want to see things. I want to see things. I want to see if an otter's out there, if a bird is out there. An owl showed up in my backyard a couple of years ago. I showed this picture to you to kick us off this morning to say, for 2 reasons. Isn't that an amazing example of camouflage? Blending in. Look at how that bird just kind of totally disappears. And if that's a bird of prey trying to get a mouse or a bird or something, it's in a good position to do that. It just disappears into the environment. The other reason I show it to you because it always reminds me of writing. And you're probably saying, Steve, what are you talking about? How does that remind you of writing? Well, it's a detail. Writing comes to life with details. 3 things I want you to remember this morning if you remember nothing else. Strong verbs, cool details, and hook the reader. If you can use strong verbs in your writing, really active verbs, wonderful, interesting details, and grab the reader, you're halfway there to making your writing really sparkle. That's a picture of me just last week on the beach. Just kidding. Alright. It's about 20 years ago, I had a great job. I was a National Park Service ranger. My job was to wake up in the morning, have my cup of coffee, walk down to the beach. Pretty good job, right? And get on my 3-wheel dune bike and just drive way down the beach and drive back and forth along the beach looking for animals. And my job was to monitor sea turtles. I'd watch them come in, lay their eggs, head back out. 60 days later, what would happen? Hatchlings would come out. And that entered my head, and I said, one day I think I need to write a book about this. And I did. In a book called Turtle Tide. For young kids, picture book, all about sea turtles coming up to lay their eggs. I'm not the illustrator of this book, as I said before. Bruce Hiscock. This is the female loggerhead. Her eyes are tearing to rinse the salt. She's got really strong salt glands right here. She needs to get rid of that excess salt, so her eyes are tearing. She'll make a vase-shaped nest, and she will lay 100 eggs. She'll cover them up, head back to the ocean. She's not like an alligator or a crocodile, guys, who will stay behind and protect her young. No, she's going to leave them to the safety of the dunes. But who shows up? Raccoons, wild hogs, turkey vultures. There's so many predators that want to eat those little packets of protein. Now, a lot of protein in those eggs, animals want to eat them, but they don't get them all. My illustrator called this a triptych. I think it's so cool. It's kind of like what's going on underneath the ground. Notice how the shape changes from left to right. It goes from vase shape to rectangular shape. One last thing I want you to think about. Do they come out all together or one at a time? So it's like when they're still in the egg stage, they call each other up on their cell phones. You ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this thing. Do they have cell phones in their eggs? Probably not. They could be really small. Maybe. We don't know. But of course they don't have cell phones. They all work together, called proto-cooperation. There's no way one of those little hatchlings is going to dig out of that hard sand. It's too hard. It's packed down. They're down there for 3 months. They're not going to get out. But here's the miracle of hatchlings. They all hatch together, and they all work together, scrambling, pushing, inching, moving. It takes 2 to 3 days to go from here to here. It's a very slow elevator going to the top. When they finally reach the top, which way are they going to go? They have got to get to the beach and they've got to get there fast down to the ocean because there's so many predators out there. Ghost crabs, sharks, gulls. One little guy made it, and for 2 days straight that little hatchling is going to swim. Now that was the first sea turtle book I wrote. Then I wrote a second one called Sea Turtle Scientist, perfect for you guys. Okay, why is it perfect? It's longer. And this lady right here, this scientist told me that only 1 in 1,000 hatchlings will get to be a big, giant adult sea turtle. On average, 1 out of 1,000 will grow to be a big adult sea turtle. So many get lost. I believe when you're doing a nature book, animal book, or when you guys are doing an animal report, has anybody ever written a report about animals? Probably you have sometime in your school career. I think you got to do 3 things. First step I always take, I got to see the thing I'm writing about. I got to see it with my eyes. I got to look at it. I got to take notes. There I am in Africa, in Kenya, and I'm taking notes about this rhino. I'm looking at it. This is a tame rhino. I would never be able to walk up to a rhino that was wild. Okay, this guard is protecting it from poachers. And I was there, checking it out, looking at it, taking notes. Second thing I do is build my information resource, really add layers of information to my understanding. And finally, I sit down and do what, guys? Write the first draft. I call my first draft the down draft. And then, because I'm just getting it down, and then I call my second draft the up draft. Why? Because I'm fixing it up. Get it down, fix it up. 2 great tips for young authors. Talk about your subject. If, let's say, your teacher says, hey, we're going to write a report, a paper on the history of the UAE. We are going to write a piece about Bedouin society. Okay? First thing you should probably do, talk about it with your friends, your mom, your dad, your teachers, librarian. As you begin to talk about your subject, you begin to organize your thoughts about how you can write. The other thing I love to do when I'm first about to start a project, because I'm hoping to get to Africa in the next year to do a project on, write a book about giraffes. I know nothing about giraffes, okay? I want to dig into giraffes. Begin creating a list of words. Like for my sea turtle book, flippers, carapace, egg tube. I didn't know what these words mean. But as I'm researching stuff, the words kept coming up again. So I'm creating a list of words. 2 of our best writing tools or friends, as I mentioned before, are strong verbs, cool details. I asked a kid in Bangladesh, I said, what do you think details are? He said, you zoom in on the small parts. You're not looking at the whole picture, you're really zooming in close. And one final piece of writing advice, let your writing cool. If you just do a piece of writing on Monday, come back to it on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Why would you want to do that? You come back to it with what?
We have new ideas or something.
Yeah, exactly. Fresh ideas, new ideas. You might read a sentence and you say, no, that verb, I don't like that verb. I think I could add another detail. I think I could change the beginning. It's always good to put your writing aside. I do it all the time as a writer. Put my writing aside. Why do I need a good lead in my books? Is there a reason I'd want to have a good lead for my writing? Yeah.
So, like, the writer won't just get with it. I mean, the reader won't get.
So what? It hooks the reader?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It grabs the reader in. That's what I want to do as an author, because if I don't have a good lead and you guys are not going to be reading my book, I got a problem. So you want to grab the reader with a good first sentence. In my novel, Whiff and Dirty George, I've only written 1 novel. Well, actually I've written 2. 1 got published. Whiff and Dirty George, about 2 kids. The book opens up, and my 2 heroes, Whiff and Dirty George, are on a train going into London, and something crazy happens. "Me trousers are falling down," cried Dirty George. "Mine too," said Whiff. "What's going on? It's mad," said Whiff. Whiff checked his wristwatch, 7:25 a.m. exactly. The train to Paddington Station had just crawled to a stop when every zipper unzipped, every buckle unbuckled, every button unbuttoned. You want to keep reading? You want to find out what's happening, what's causing this problem? Well, that's what happens. That's what you want to do. You want to grab the reader in. How did I begin my sea turtle book? 1 egg out of 1,000 will produce an adult sea turtle. So says Dr. Kimberly Stewart. So I'm using what? Dialogue. Okay? Can you use dialogue? Interesting fact? Sure you can. This guy, Jim Arnowski, started his shark book out by asking questions. He asked 5 questions. Oh, keeps falling over. Have you ever wondered about sharks? How big do they grow? How sharp are their teeth? What do they eat? Why do they attack people? This book answers all of these questions and more. So when you read this book, it's like, wow, okay, this guy's going to answer all these questions. That's great. And finally, how did Russell Friedman open up his book about Lincoln? He could have said, wow, Lincoln was really tall. But he didn't. Look how he did it. Abraham Lincoln wasn't the sort of man who could lose himself in a crowd. After all, he stood 6 feet 4 inches tall, and to top it off, he wore a high silk hat. Pretty cool way to begin a book, right? Research. Who can tell me what research means in like your own words? Like if I were to say to you, hey guys, we're going to go out and do some research today, this afternoon, what are we talking about? What's research?
Collecting information.
What's that?
Like
Collecting information. Yeah?
learning more about the subject.
Learning more about the subject. Digging, uncovering, discovering, learning. How about a chance to learn about black bears in Pennsylvania, swimming with manatees in Florida, learning about sloths, ocean life. When you get out into the ocean, you got to put seaweed on your head, right? You guys put seaweed on your head?
No,
Why not?
I do that all the
Good
time.
for you. It's really good for you.
Oh, Apple soup is really good. It makes a delicious snack. But be careful when you take a bite. The soup might bite your back. Crabs pinch and urchins pull. Soup that bites is no joke. I live in this room close to the sea, where the view is great and the food is free. Some of the tenants come and go, some are yet and they're too slow. One end of me is firmly locked, the other end gently rocks. I live in this room close to the sea. Oh, what a life for an enemy!
Who is this crazy man? You think that was me? Would I really get dressed up and stand in the ocean?
Yeah.
Probably would. Okay. There's the ocean. There's the rock. Here's the this habitat right here. Really awesome habitat. You got snails. You got starfish. You got anemones. You got so many interesting creatures. Whenever I go to the tide pool, I'm always wearing my lobster hat. You guys have a lobster hat per se? Would you like one?
Yeah.
Get a lobster hat. It's kind of like a cool outfit, okay? Of all the animals that I've studied, guys, owls, black bears, wolves, manatees, this creature right here, we're going to dive right into this creature right now, called the leatherback sea turtle. In the back, you have a hawksbill sea turtle skeleton. Right here is the leatherback. It's the largest of our sea turtles. It dives the deepest of our sea turtles. It's the most mysterious of our sea turtles. And it is also on the brink of extinction. Who can tell me what those words mean? If you've got a creature on the brink of extinction, what are we talking about, my friend?
It means that it's no longer going to exist. There aren't going to be any more of that species.
Yeah, species is gone. Give me an example of an extinct species.
Dinosaurs?
Yeah, T-Rex, gone.
Oh, no, no, right?
Woolly mammoth, gone.
Saber-tooth.
Saber-toothed tiger, gone.
Oh.
The kiwi bird gone? Yeah, okay. A dodo bird, passenger pigeon. We got lots of different species that are gone. And when I learned that this thing was almost like gone, I said, I got to tell kids about it. I got to do a book. So I left snowy Vermont. I headed south to the beautiful tropical islands in the Caribbean Sea, and one in particular called St. Kitts, where I met this awesome scientist named Dr. Kimberly Stewart, who has dedicated her life to animals. She grew up on a farm in Georgia, taking care of the cows and the chickens and the cats in a grandparent's farm. And she said to me, Steve, by the time I was a 4th grader, I knew exactly what I wanted to do in life. I said, what do you want to do? She said, I want to be a vet. I want to help animals. So she moved to this island 10 years ago, got herself a cat, some tortoises. But most every day she is out there learning, discovering, researching that creature. We have a very small window of opportunity, guys, when the females come up to lay their eggs. The males, They are in the ocean their entire lives. They never come out. Females come out for about 2 hours, and that's when we can study them, because most of the time they are out there. You can never research them. You can't research animals like that. It's very difficult. So the only time we can actually see them, touch them, measure them, whatever, is when they come up to lay their eggs. A phenomenal animal, got this beautiful, soft, smooth shell with these ridges. All of these spots are different colors, blue, pink, white. They dive super deep. They're very aerodynamic to swim through the ocean. They've got these very long front flippers. Who could please raise their hand and tell me, this is where you got to put on your science caps, what kind of food would an animal like this, that's a marine creature, want to eat? Do you think it's going to be eating hummus or tabbouleh? What do you think it might eat? Maybe some fishes? Okay, who's got another idea? What do you got? What's that?
I don't know.
You don't know? Sponges, good answer.
Like berries, some sort maybe?
Berries?
Maybe, I don't know.
Berries down in the ocean?
Yes.
Okay, maybe like the sea berry. Guess what? Jellyfish. 99.9% of their food, guys, is jellyfish. I mean, they are eating jellyfish. They don't get stung because their skin is so thick. If you're going to eat jellyfish, you got to have a mouth that looks like that. The top of the beak ends in like a fork. The bottom is like a little hook. So it comes up to the jellyfish and it kind of hooks it. It hooks it in. But once you've hooked that jellyfish, it's still very slippery and slimy, right? So it could just like slide away. So nature has given the leatherback the most amazing adaptation. Check out the mouth, the inside of the mouth of the leatherback. That is the inside of the mouth of the leatherback. And what do you think is the reason for all those little spines?
Maybe the jellyfish, because like you said, it's really slippery. When it swallows it, it might be able to come back up. It's kind of gross. But the teeth or the
Spines.
The spikes are in his mouth. It cuts the jellyfish, so it injures itself.
Yeah, you're getting it. You're getting it. Also, if I'm a jellyfish and I'm going in this direction, can I turn around and go back the other way? No way. This is a one-way trip. Scientists tell me this is jellyfish's worst nightmare. Once you go in there, there's no going back because you can't turn around and get back out again. All those spines point in one direction, which is which way, guys? Down into the belly of the leatherback. So once the jellyfish goes in there, there's no returning. How'd you like to put your arm in there? Disgusting, right? Ooh, gross. But that's an adaptation. That is an adaptation, which is a really cool thing for an animal to have. I mentioned before, do the males ever come out of the water?
No.
No way. They're in the ocean the entire time. Can the females lay their eggs in the middle of the ocean?
No.
No, they would just sink, they would die. Female has got to swim around until she's finally ready to give birth to her young. She has to find a suitable beach. She's got to crawl out. Dangerous thing for her to do. This is an unusual thing for her to do. She's got to crawl up onto that sand. Takes about 2 hours to find a spot, to dig a hole, lay her 100 eggs. There's Steve, there's Dr. Stewart in the middle of the night. Why do you think we're using red filters on our camera? What would be the reason to do that?
Sea turtles aren't bad.
They can stand red.
Yeah. They are colorblind for red. The leatherback's eyes are colorblind for red. They can't visualize red. We don't want to scare them with a white flashlight. So a lot of the images that you might see in my book and on the show here, they are reddish, so we are not interrupting her cycle of nesting. The next image will be a video of her actually laying the eggs. The sound you will hear will be the ocean. Watch the middle of the screen. We're behind the mother, that's her tail. We have lifted her flipper aside, so what are we doing? We're counting her eggs. And she will know how many eggs she's, well, she won't know how many she's done. She's facing this way. Let's say the ocean is that way. She's doing everything by feel. She can't turn her head. She's not physically able to turn her head and look into that hole. She'll never see her egg. She'll never see the hole. Just can't happen for a sea turtle. She'll know what she's done. After she's done, what's the next super important thing she's got to do, guys? She's got to cover it up. She can't just head back to the ocean and leave her eggs out in the open, right? They'd get eaten by stuff. So she doesn't have a shovel, doesn't have a spade, but what she does have are her 2 awesome back flippers. They're like giant baseball gloves. I'm watching this next video how she moves the sand around. She's so good at this. She's going to camouflage that nest. Her eggs are buried right here. We put little metal tags on her hind flippers to track her later on. What's that?
How long does it take to put down more clothes?
She will cover that sand up for about an hour or so. The entire process of nesting will be maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes longer, depending on how far she has to come out. Once she's done that, then she's going to head back. Let's give her a big round of applause. She did a good job. She'll come back 3, 4, 5, 6 times a summer laying eggs. She's a very good mom at doing this, but sometimes she's a brand new mom. She'll come out of the ocean and she'll come up out of the waves and she'll say, this looks pretty good, and she'll start digging a hole, but what happens? She hasn't moved further enough up the beach, and the high tides of the summer will come in and do what? Wash away her whole nest. So that is a nest that's been destroyed. If we see something like that, as I did once when I was down on the islands, you can very carefully dig up her eggs, put them in a sack, and move them way up the beach, dig a new hole, and place them in. You become like a mother sea turtle. And then you can keep them far from the ocean edge, because you don't want to see that. That's a destroyed nest. This is where it all begins, right? There's a sea turtle in there. If I'm a hatchling, guys, and I'm ready to start my life, how am I getting out of there? What do you think I got to do? I mean, I don't have a knife. I don't have a pair of scissors. How is that little thing going to get out?
I think that you could use, like you said that they had a little bit of a beak, so maybe they could break away at the shell.
Yeah, good point. They have this thing called an egg tooth. Nature rocks. Nature is so good at this. Nature has given that hatchling a little sharp beak called an egg tooth. That thing grows 2 weeks before it's needed, and then when it gets in the ocean, it will fall off. It's like a little sharp point that allows me to scrape my way, slice my way through. Look at my long flippers. Uh-oh, good or bad?
Bad.
La docena de huevos. Dozen eggs. So, people on the Caribbean islands have collected the eggs and are putting them in a plastic bag. Now, do you think that we should outlaw that? I mean, who are we to say that the Caribbean people and the cultures who have been collecting eggs for thousands of years as part of their heritage, and to tell them that's wrong? Hopefully, behaviors change over time, and there's less of this happening, but Caribbean people still rely on the protein of sea turtle eggs. But rather than that, we'd like to see that. That little hatchling has opened its eyes. You can see it's got its egg tooth on, its scaly skin. There they go. Come on, guys, let's get out of that hole. And there they go. Most of the time, they come out at what time of the day? Night. Night. Why? Why would they come out at night? What would be the reason for that? If you're a hatchling, why do you want to come out at night, guys? Yeah.
So predators can't see you.
Exactly. Less predators on the beach, right, guys? Less predators on the beach. Hey, there's a stick in my way. Is that going to bother me?
No.
No, wait. I'm going around. I'm going over it. I'm going under it. I got to get to the ocean. Yeah.
How do you know what time of the day it is?
They don't care. They don't know. Well, here's how they know. They come up to just like 2 inches up. Okay, they're under the ground, right? They climb up. They stop 2 inches from the top of the sand. Do you think they can sense the temperature of the sand? In the day, the temperature of the sand is what? Hot. At night, it's what? Cold and cool. So once they realize that the temperature of the sand is cool, they break through and they know it's night and they can dash down. A lot of dangers on the beach. When I come out of my hole, I'm a hatchling, the first thing I do is I open up my little eyes, and the first thing I usually see are the breaking white foamy waves of the ocean. My brain goes, that's the way I gotta go. Sometimes I'll see the waves and I'll look around and go, whoa, there's a really bright light. I think I'm gonna go that direction instead. And I make my way over to that light, and then, buddy, you're heading in the wrong direction. Sometimes we find hundreds of dried up dead little sea turtles at the base of a light. So guys, on a nesting beach with turtles, what do we need to do with these lights?
We need to maybe turn them like off during
Turn them off.
Will it matter?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Turn them off. Not have lights on. So many of the beaches along the coast, the beaches of the world, need to have lights turned off. Sea turtles want to have black beaches, dark beaches, so their eyes can adjust and see the ocean. You don't want to see that. Dangers in the beach, natural predators like ghost crabs, ants. It's a very dangerous little trip from the hole down to the ocean. I took this image at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Who could interpret that for me? What do you think's going on there? You got two different tracks. What do you see in your mind's eye? Yeah.
I see a bird.
You see a what?
Like bird,
Yeah.
and then I see a hole, and then I see sea turtle.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think probably you got like a little hatchling going this way, and maybe like a bird, like a heron or a seagull, maybe going down to get that hatchling. Hopefully that hatchling made it. Okay, figure this out for me. You become the scientist. There are 3 different kind of hatchlings right there, different species. Why has nature given the hatchlings a dark upper shell and a light undershell? What would be the reason for nature to give a dark carapace and a light plastron underneath the shell? What would be the scientific reason?
I think on the top when predators are flying, they won't see and camouflage, and
Yeah.
the predators underneath the sea will see up and
You got it. You got it, my friend. Okay, I'm a seagull. I'm flying over the dark waves. I'm looking down for something to eat, right? My dark shell blends in with the water in the waves, and that seagull can't see me. I'm protected. And let's say I'm swimming up near the surface of the water, and I'm a barracuda or a shark or something looking up for something to eat. My whitish belly blends in with the light coming from the top of the ocean, right? I'm protected. I'm camouflaged. I blend in. It's called counter shading. What's it called?
Counter shading.
I'm dark on top, light underneath. Counter shading. So cool. Look at my tracks. I've almost made it. There I go. Everybody say bon voyage, sea turtle.
Bon voyage, sea turtle.
What is that, like French?
Yeah.
You guys speak French?
Yeah.
And Spanish?
Some friends.
How about Arabic?
Yes.
Everybody speaks Arabic?
Oh.
Really? Could you teach me?
Yeah.
How do you say one in Arabic?
Wahed.
What?
Wahed.
Wad?
Wahed.
Wahad.
Yeah.
I got it?
Yeah.
How about 2?
Name.
Iknay.
Name.
Do you think I could learn this like right away or no? It would take a while. I could learn it for a while, after a while, right?
Like 10 minutes.
Alright. We'll do it later. Guys, no one taught me how to swim. I'm a sea turtle hatchling. I know how to swim. Isn't that cool? No one taught me how to swim. Look at my long flippers. No one taught me where to go. I know exactly where to go. Hold your fingers out like that. I start out as a matchbox car size sea turtle hatchling, right about that big. I eat what? Jellyfish, and I grow super wide. Open your arms, don't knock out your neighbor. Open super wide. Come on, stretch. Stretch this morning. Come on. And back. I go from there to there, and look what I eat. Jellyfish. 98% salt water, but look how big I get. You guys in Dubai are lucky. You've got the hawksbill, which we have sitting right back there, and you've got the green turtle in your waters. Okay? Those are the 2 species you have around here. Maybe on the loghead too, I don't know. Do you think you have those?
No.
Yes.
That's called an archaeon. That's 500,000 years ago. That's what used to swim in the oceans. And this is how the Caribbean peoples used to get their sea turtles. The females would come in, they'd get a big stick, they'd shove the stick under the female, and they'd do it, and they'd flip it over. And once that animal was on its shell, thrashing around, then they could dispatch it and do what? Eat it. That's what they did. They ate the meat of the sea turtle. That was back in the day, okay? 200 years ago, most islanders, most people don't eat sea turtle sea turtle meat anymore, but now there's so many modern threats, and I want to talk a little bit about those. The oceans are really dirty, guys. A lot of the ocean. There's an animal with a hook on it. Leatherback, completely surrounded by netting. This is a sea turtle happily swimming along. Some fishermen threw out its old rigging and netting. What happened? It got wrapped around the flipper of this animal. That animal could not submerge and eat its food because they eat underwater. That animal's not going to make it unless we can find it and cut it off. This one, happily swimming, got a buoy stuck on the back of its shell. Again, can't go underwater, can't submerge, can't eat, could be in trouble. This one, completely surrounded by netting, washed up. One of the biggest problems we have in the oceans today is what, do you think? This thing right here, guys. How could this thing, this innocent-looking thing, hurt a sea turtle? How could it hurt a sea turtle? What's the big deal about this thing?
So,
yeah.
Most of the time, like when you have a plastic bag and you throw it out, it goes to the dumpsters, and then those end up getting thrown in the ocean. And when a sea turtle is swimming, it can get stuck on its neck and it can't breathe.
Yeah.
And then it can.
Good. Somebody help. Fill her out. What do we got? What else?
It can eat it.
Yeah. Guess what? Everybody hold their fingers like that. That is the size of a leatherback sea turtle's brain. What is the size of our brain? Who's smarter? Leatherback or us? Who? Leatherback? They can't tell the difference between a plastic bag and their natural food, which is jellyfish. They'll come up to this plastic bag, which is happily floating in the ocean, and guess what? It looks very much like a jellyfish. And they'll come up to it and go, oh, that looks really good. I think I'm going to eat it. They eat it, it gets stuck right in their throat. Guys, I am not kidding you. We are losing 20, 30, 50,000 sea turtles every year because they'll eat a plastic bag and they'll choke on it right here and they will just die. Maybe our hawksbill back there ate a plastic bag. I don't know. But guess what? It's a real problem. If you see this in Dubai, please do me a favor, do them a favor, pick it up, make sure you recycle it because we got to get rid of these plastic bags. Let's get back to my scientist. She is here now doing a nest excavation. She would come back 2 or 3 days later after all the hatchlings have left and come back and dig up the whole old hole and put all the eggs out on the sand. Why, oh why, guys, would she do that? What is she hoping to discover by digging up all the eggs, the old eggs? What does she want to learn? Yeah.
Maybe like
How they what?
how they got out.
How they got out. What else?
How many have died in this?
Okay, anything else?
How did they die?
How did they die?
You can see the unborn sea turtles and the living dead persons.
Yeah, guys, look at the difference between these rows. Here's a row of eggs that are unhatched. It's whole. There's no cracks, meaning there are hatchlings inside. They're probably dead. These have hatched out. They're all crumpled, meaning there's no hatchling in them. Hopefully they're happily swimming in the ocean. What my scientist here is learning is how many hatched, how many didn't. And she's discovering an unfortunate, disturbing trend. She's finding more and more nests with unhatched eggs. She doesn't know if it's global warming. Is the sand getting too hot? Are we cooking, baking the sea turtles to death? She's got to do a lot more research about this. But the sand seems to be getting hotter in many locations. And maybe the hatchlings are not surviving. So it's kind of very disturbing. We found a couple of little stragglers that had struggled out of the nest. We let them chill out in that box and then we released them later on. Who'd like to be there today? You don't want to be in school? No. This is called Buck Island off the coast of St. Croix in the Caribbean. And I show it to you because it's kind of like a perfect sea turtle beach. No houses, no cars, no lights. That's the green turtle. You guys have this in Dubai, in the waters. Notice the count for shading. Dark top, light underneath. And there's the magnificent, mysterious, endangered leatherback. Look at those giant muscles. And there I am going old school. Hey guys, why would I not use my iPhone to do my research and take my notes on the beach?
The light scares them.
Light scares them. This thing, batteries could die. I could get sand in it. No good to use that. I don't want to use that. I'm going old school. I'm getting my notebook. I've got the flashlight stuck under my chin. And when my scientist, who I'm standing next to me, says something really cool, what am I going to be doing? Writing it down, taking accurate notes right there on the beach. Get back to my hotel, type up my notes, because I want that to get back into the book. I want to take her information from the beach, stick it in the book so you guys can read it. Super important. I keep a journal. You ever keep a journal or a diary or a writer's notebook? You should. Make it fun. Here's the journal I write in now. All my journals over my years, I put cards, letters, stickers. It's a cool thing to do. Shouldn't this be like a movie? And shouldn't I star in that movie?
Yeah.
Rather than like Brad Pitt or Leo DiCaprio, who just won the Academy Award. I'm thinking maybe I should star in this movie, don't you think? Mr. Steve as the Turtle Award. I should have the annual Turtle Award, exactly. Let me finish off my program with a couple of new books I'm working on. You know what? One book leads to another. I got so interested in learning about jellyfish. I'm writing some poetry about jellyfish. I've just finished a poetry collection of food chain poems. This one is about a crocodile. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Don't get too close to a crocodile, or you will see a croco smile. Good or bad? Not good? Oh, my friend goes probably not good. Let's all read it together. Ready? Go. Don't get too close to a crocodile, or you will see a croco smile. I can't believe she said that's no good.
Is that a good thing?
What?
That's like you see a crocodile.
Well, if you see a croco smile, don't you think you're too close?
Seeing nature's gift.
Oh, thank you. I thought she was going to be an editor and like say, sorry, that's rejected. Yeah.
I was in Florida before, and in our neighborhood, the chihuahua got eaten by a crocodile.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, alligators and crocs are eating lots of animals in Florida. I just finished a book about this guy, Gunther Gable Williams, the most famous animal trainer in circus history. He trained leopards and tigers. I hope to get to Namibia. Anybody been to Namibia in Africa? It's right next to South Africa, and they have the tallest giraffe in the world called the desert giraffe. I hope to get down there next year to study that animal, do a book about it. And also I want to get to Costa Rica to study the sloth. Here's what happens to bears. Our American black bear gets into trouble. Bears hibernate for the winter around my part of the world. A friend of mine sent me these pictures of this bear climbing that tree. Look what this bear does. It went from there to there to there to there. And when it finally got there, guess what it did? It ripped up the top, ripped out the sides, and did what? Gobbled up all the birdseed because there's so much protein in those seeds. My wife gave me a birdhouse box for Christmas last year, and guess who lives there? Not any kind of bird, but a screech owl. Little owl about that big. Beautiful little owl. Who wants to go to Vermont with me now?
Me.
You better make sure you have lots of warm clothing because it is cold. Here's my brand new book coming out from Scholastic called Safe in a Storm. It was inspired by 9/11, which happened in 2001. It's now finally coming out. How many years ago was that? 14, 15, 16, something like that. Yeah. Sometimes books take a long time to come out, guys. 5 reasons to love nonfiction. Say it after me. 1, you learn cool stuff. 2, you can share what you learn with friends. 3, you may discover your passion. 4, your brain grows. 5, you become happy. more. 6. You smile like a sloth.
You smile like a sloth.
Would you guys like to sing my song with me? Do you feel like singing today? I wrote this song called 1 in 1,000 because only one hatchling in 1,000 grows up. So if you guys want to help me sing this, you can sing along. You ready?
To Earth.
One in 1,000 and I'm on my way. 1 in 1,000 and I'm leaving today.
You want to dance? Go ahead.
Chance I've got to reach the sea. Give me a chance, it's a level back I want to be.
Oh yeah, look at this.
1 in 1,000. 1 in 1,000. I'm 1 in 1,000. That's me. 1 in 1,000 and I won't be gone. 1 in 1,000. Let's run the world to make the ocean and to crawl on the land. 7 tracks that the oceans in the sand.
All together now.
1 in 1,000.
What'd you say?
1 in 1,000.
One more time.
1 in 1,000. That's me. Give me a chance, I've got to reach the sea.
Oh yeah.
Give me a chance, it's a level that I want to be.
Come on, guys. One more time.
1 in 1,000.
What'd you say?
1 in 1,000.
One more time.
1 in 1,000. That's me.
Thank you guys. You were a great audience.